The mistake on Kiralan 4 and the far side of the Orion spiral arm? There was a small human research colony on a planet called Kiralan 4. It wasn't famous. It wasn't important. Just 213 scientists, doctors, and engineers working quietly, away from the noise of galactic politics. There were no weapons, no soldiers, no defense grid, just peaceful minds focused on learning and science. But sometimes, peace attracts destruction. On a quiet morning, when the twin suns were just rising, over the crystal blue plains of Kiralan 4, the sky suddenly turned black. Not from clouds, but from Zarkathi warships. Thousands of them. The Zarkathi were known across the galaxy. Tall, scaled creatures with glowing red eyes. They believed strength was everything. They ruled by fear. They hated weakness. And to them, humans peaceful, soft-spoken humans were weak. They had been watching Earth's colonies for months, studying their communication, their trade routes, their defenses. And they had chosen Kiralan 4 for a message, a warning, a show of power. The humans didn't even have time to send a distress signal. The Zarkathi fleet opened fire without a word. Plasma bombs rained from the sky. Entire labs exploded into fireballs. Buildings collapsed. Scientists screamed as the ground shook beneath them. In less than 6 minutes, the colony was turned to dust. No mercy. No survivors. That's what the Zarkathi believed. But they made one mistake. They didn't check the underground shelter inside. Deep under the ruins, Dr. Alina Voss, a medical researcher, had managed to seal the emergency doors just in time. With her were, for survivors, 2 engineers, a child, and a wounded security officer. For 3 days, they hid in darkness, eating ration bars, listening to the silence above. They saw no rescue, no light, nothing. Then, on the 4th day, Alina sent a signal. Not a distress call, but a recording. It showed everything. The sky, full of warships, the explosions, the screams, the fire, and then silence. She titled the file simply, "They Killed Scientists." She sent it straight to Earth's core command. The message took 13 hours to reach Earth. When the leaders of Earth's military watched the footage, the room fell silent. Generals clenched their fists. Admirals turned pale. Even the president, known for his calm, stared at the screen without blinking. No one said a word. Then the president spoke just one sentence. They wanted war. Now they will see it. The Galactic Council, made up of 72 alien species, tried to calm the situation. They called for talks. They warned Earth not to act. They said the Zarkathi were misunderstood, that it was a military mistake. Earth did not reply, not with words. They replied with ships. The First Fleet, named the Silence of Kiralan, was launched within 48 hours. These were not ordinary ships. They were black, silent, with no visible engines. They moved like shadows. Carried weapons no one had ever seen before. The Zarkathi laughed when they saw the human fleet on their scanners. Just 12 ships. 12. Against thousands, their laughter died fast. The first human ship fired a single pulse beam. One hit, one Zarkathi cruiser disappeared. Not destroyed, erased, atom by atom. In 10 minutes, 400 Zarkathi ships vanished. They didn't explode, they didn't burn. They just ceased to exist. Panic spread among the Zarkathi ranks. They tried to retreat, but the human ships followed and hunted them. Not a single Zarkathi vessel made it out alive. Back on Kiralan 4, the rescue team finally reached the underground shelter. Lena and the survivors were pulled from the darkness. They had survived, but they were changed, especially. Alina, her eyes, once gentle, now carried something cold. She didn't ask for safety. She asked only one question. How many Zarkathi worlds are still standing? In days, Earth's military received a new name across the galaxy, the Silence. Number. Transmissions. No warnings. Just arrival. Then nothing left. Other alien races began to worry. They had seen wars before, but never like this. This was not revenge. This was something else. Precise, cold, calculated. Some asked Earth to stop. Others begged to join them, but Earth said nothing. One general said in a closed briefing, "We were scientists, farmers, explorers. All we wanted was peace. But they killed our people. So now we erase their history." In dark rooms across the galaxy, leaders whispered, if Earth could do this to the Xur-Cathy, what could they do to anyone else? No one had the answer. But one thing was clear. The galaxy had changed forever, and it had started with one mistake. One act. One attack on people who had never raised a weapon, and that one act had awakened something ancient, powerful, terrifying. Humanity's wrath. The silence of space was broken by a sudden, horrifying transmission. Arcadia Station. A peaceful human settlement orbiting the blue gas giant Virion 6 had just sent a distress signal. The message was short, filled with static and screams. The words were clear enough to chill the blood of every listener. We are under attack. Unknown ships. Firing. Civilians down, this is not a drill, please. Any human fleet, help us. And then, just dead air. The station held. Over 4,000 humans, including families, scientists, workers, and diplomats. It was a symbol of peace between Earth and the Galactic Core Alliance. For decades, it stood as a neutral zone where humans and aliens could meet, trade, and learn. Now, it was burning. Explosions had torn through its oxygen corridors. Fire had eaten through the biodomes. No escape pods were launched. No ships were seen fleeing. Every soul on Arcadia Station was gone. Back on Earth, the United Human Command sat in silence as the last image came through, a child's toy floating in zero gravity. Its surface scorched, its colors faded in the vacuum of death. The footage wasn't leaked to the public, not yet. But inside the top command room, emotions were boiling. General Alana Voss, commander of Earth's interstellar fleet, slammed her fist on the table. This wasn't an accident. This was an execution. She turned to the analysts. Do we know? Who did it? A younger officer replied, his voice shaking. We detected Tarnock battle signatures. No other species uses energy weapons in that unique pattern. Their fleet must have been cloaked. The Tarnock. The war-hungry reptilian species from the Outer Ring. They had always looked down on humans. To them, Earth was a child among titans. They thought humans were weak, slow to act, too soft because of their love for diplomacy and peace. But they had made a terrible mistake. They had crossed the line. Humanity had lost colonies before. They had even lost soldiers. But this was different. This was a massacre of innocents. The Tarnock made one miscalculation. They thought humans would negotiate, would hesitate, would wait for proof and discussion. They didn't know that. Humanity had changed. Meanwhile, in a dark war council room on the Tarnock homeworld, their generals were laughing. It was a message, growled Commander Rasketh, baring his sharp teeth. The humans are spreading too fast. We showed them their place. Their cries were beautiful, like music, another general added, and Earth. They will whine to the council, bark some empty threats, and then return to building more of their silly trade stations. They don't have the stomach for true war. They were wrong. Within 2 days, Earth activated Protocol Vengeance, a military order that had never been used in the history of the species. Hidden fleets, long kept in deep space silos, were awakened. Stealth cruisers powered up. AI-controlled dreadnoughts, previously thought decommissioned, roared back to life from beneath the oceans of Europa, from the dark side of Mars, from the hidden asteroid bases around Neptune. Ships began to rise. Ships with no names. Ships built for one purpose. Total war. The humans didn't announce it. They didn't send warnings. They simply moved. The first Vengeance fleet, led by the terrifying battlecruiser Nemesis, vanished into deep space. Its orders were clear: locate the Tarnock command fleet and deliver retribution. But Earth wasn't just fighting with weapons. They unleashed the Ghost Protocol, a cyber weapon that spread silently across the galaxies. Data networks. It began, corrupting the Tarnax's military records, disrupting their communication systems, and turning their own defense satellites against them. One Tarnak colony received a strange message. This is for Arcadia. Seconds later, their planetary shields failed, and a human orbital weapon struck the surface with blinding light. Over 1 million Tarnak lives vanished in one strike. Now the Tarnak weren't laughing. Their arrogance began to melt into panic. They demanded help from the Galactic Core Council, crying that Earth had launched illegal attacks. But the Council, full of politicians who had watched the Arcadia footage in secret, remained silent. They had seen the floating toy too. They knew what humans were capable of when pushed too far. Back in human space, citizens of Earth were finally shown the truth. The footage of Arcadia's destruction played across every screen, every home, every classroom. And the reaction was not sadness. It was fury. Millions volunteered to join the war effort. Factories lit up overnight, or chants spread like wildfire across human colonies. Families painted the names of lost loved ones on the sides of missiles. And then the chant began. For Arcadia, for the fallen, for Earth, Tarnak still had powerful fleets. Their warriors were elite. But they had never faced human rage. Not like this. Not united. Not focused. Their scouts began disappearing. Their colonies went dark one by one. Every time they thought they were safe, a human strike force arrived, silent, brutal, and unstoppable. One Tarnak general whispered to himself as he stared at the stars, "What have we done?" And far away, aboard the human flagship, the Tarnak Empire had ruled parts of the galaxy for over 300 years. Their warships were feared, their generals were proud, they had crushed dozens of smaller species without mercy. But now, something strange was happening. One by one, Tarnak colonies were going dark. No communication, no power. It's the strange part. There were no signs of a fight. No orbiting ships. No warnings, just silence. And then destruction. In the Tarnak capital, panic was growing. Commander Raskith stood in the war chamber, surrounded by flashing red maps. Colony after colony was being wiped out. The outer sectors were falling faster than the Tarnak fleet could respond. "This doesn't make sense," he roared. "Where is the enemy? Why can't we see them?" An officer stepped forward, shaking. We believe it's the human ghost fleet, sir." That name sent a chill through the room. For years, the ghost fleet was a rumor, a dark myth whispered among pirate crews and mercenaries. Some said it was a hidden army of stealth ships, invisible to sensors. Others said it was controlled by AI minds that never slept. No one had ever seen it. Now it was real, and it was hunting deep. In space, where no starlight reached, the Nemesis moved like a shadow. Its outer hull was black, covered in advanced stealth materials. Even light itself bent around the ship. It had no windows, no noise, no signal. Inside, General Alana Voss stood. In front of a massive hull map, red dots showed Tarnak targets. One by one, she touched them, and they blinked out. "We hit them fast. We hit them clean. No mercy," she said. Arcadia burned. Now it's their turn. Her officers nodded. Each one had lost someone on Arcadia's station. They didn't need speeches. They needed action. Far away, on the Tarnak. Colony Varka 7. The people lived in fear. The sky was always watched. Military drills happened daily. Giant orbital cannons pointed at the stars. The governor assured the people that no one could touch them. But on the 9th day of waiting, the sky turned red. The people saw nothing. No enemy ships. No sirens. Just silence. Then the colony's power shut down. All communication towers fried. Security bots went blind, and then from above, a thin silver beam hit the surface. The ground didn't explode, it melted within seconds. The entire city was swallowed in a quiet, blinding light. No screams, no survivors. Later, human agents sent one simple message to Tarnak High Command: no negotiations, No surrender, only justice. The Galactic Council watched from afar. They had hoped humans would stop after a warning shot or two. But this was something else. Earth wasn't just punishing the Arno. They were systematically erasing them. Some council members wanted to step in. Others were too afraid. Councillor Relton, of the Volari species, stood up in a secret meeting and said, "We always saw humans as fragile, as emotional, as weak. But now we see their true face. They are the quiet storm, the cold flame, and they will not stop." The council voted they would stay silent. No help for the Tarnok. No interference with Earth. Let them finish what was started. On Earth, the world had changed. Every screen showed the message: Arcadia will be avenged. Factories worked non-stop. Children sent drawings to soldiers in space. Cities were quiet but proud. Humanity was united like never before. The enemy had given them a reason to stand together. That was their biggest mistake. And still, the Ghost Fleet kept moving. In a deep space system, the Tarnok command fleet had regrouped. Over 200 warships formed a tight circle, guarded by satellites and drones. The generals believed they were safe now. They were wrong. The attack came from inside. Unknown codes spread through their systems. Shields shut down. Weapons refused to fire. Drones turned on their masters, and then, without warning, the sky around them opened. 10 black ships appeared, silent, sleek, and deadly. The human Ghost Fleet had arrived. The Nemesis fired first. One beam. One ship gone. Then another and another. Within minutes, the entire Tarnok fleet was on fire. Escape pods were blocked. Engines refused to start. No one was spared. Commander Raskith barely survived in a damaged escape pod. His body was burned. His pride shattered. A human transmission played in his ears. "You started this. You woke us up. You burned Arcadia. Now, we burn everything you love," Raskith screamed. But no one heard him. His pod drifted into darkness alone, forgotten. Back on the Nemesis, General Voss stood silent. One of her officers asked, "Should we send a message to the council?" She shook her head. "They're already listening." Another officer said, "What about the last Tarnok world, the home world?" Voss looked at the star map. "Prepare the final strike." No more warnings. The Tarnok Empire was dying. Their outer colonies were gone. Their battle fleets were destroyed. Their people were scared. Worst of all, no one knew how the humans were doing it. There were no warnings, no radio signals, no ships on the scanners, only silence. And then destruction now. Only one Tarnok world remained, their home world, Drakkar Prime, inside the great palace of Drakkar. Emperor Varnok IV stood before his generals. His crown was crooked. His hands were shaking. As he shouted, "How can one species bring us to our knees? Where is the council? Where is our fleet?" General Harak, the last remaining war commander, stepped forward. His face was pale, voice low. "They're not fighting a normal war. My lord, humans are not using brute strength. They're using precision, silence, and fear." He paused. "And now, they're coming here." Orbiting high above Drakkar Prime was the last planetary defense station, known as Obsidian Gate. It had 3,000 soldiers, 40 missile bays, and heavy shielding. No enemy had ever passed it. Tonight it went completely dark. The security team inside had just finished dinner when the lights flickered. Then the air systems shut off. Emergency lights blinked, then failed. Captain Rhaegar tried to send a message, but the communication pad just displayed a message: "We see you." Then a strange, high-frequency sound began playing through every speaker. It made blood leak from their ears. It made some fall to the ground screaming. And then the walls exploded inward. Black shadows entered the station, not human soldiers, but combat drones, fast, silent, and precise. They didn't speak. They didn't miss. They killed everything in their path. Obsidian Gate was gone within 7 minutes. Down on the planet, alarms blared across cities. Panic spread. People ran. Soldiers took positions. The Emperor ordered planet-wide lockdown, Tarnok.
Oh.
Priests began ancient chants to protect their world, but it was too late. From the edge of the system, the Ghost Fleet arrived. 10 ships, no lights, no signals, invisible to scanners, detectable by radar. But deadly, very deadly. Inside the human flagship Nemesis, General Elena Voss stood at the center table. The face of Commander Juno, her intelligence officer, appeared on the screen. Target is locked. We've mapped every city, base, and escape route. Tarnok High Command is hiding beneath the southern Capitol dome. Voss gave a slow nod. Then it's time. The screen blinked. All ships received one command. Operation. Final Sun, begin. Above Drakkar Prime. 3 Ghost Fleet ships uncloaked. The sky turned red. The people screamed and pointed, but no weapons fired. Every anti-air system on the planet was already hacked and disabled. The human ships dropped thin rods from orbit. They looked like silver pencils. Harmless, till they touched the ground. Then everything changed. Each rod detonated into a silent, blue fire, not a loud explosion, not a mushroom cloud. Just a wave of heat and light burning, only Tarnok tech. Tarnok military buildings, and Tarnok biological DNA. It was targeted extinction. Other species living on Drakkar were untouched. Only Tarnok were erased. Inside the Emperor's war bunker, screams filled the halls. The walls cracked. Fires broke out. The royal guards tried to protect the throne. But then a sound came from behind them. The floor opened. From a shadow, a single human stepped out. He wore no armor. He carried no gun. But his eyes, they burned with fire. It was Captain Raynor Loktha, only survivor of Arcadia Station. The man who had watched the station burn with his sister, his wife inside. He said nothing. He just walked up to the Emperor. Guards raised their weapons, but their guns failed. Human jamming tech had disabled them. Raynor pulled out a small device. He placed it gently on the throne. The Emperor whispered, "What? What do you want?" Raynor looked at him with cold eyes. He wanted war. He wanted fear. He wanted blood. He turned to leave. He got it. The device beeped, and the palace exploded into dust. Across the galaxy, council screens lit up with one message. Drakkar Prime, destroyed. Empire fallen. Justice delivered. Every bar, every station, every neutral world, silence. Followed, the galaxy finally understood. You do not strike Earth. You do not harm humanity. If you do, there will be no warning, only fire. Back aboard the Nemesis, General Voss stood alone in her private quarters. The mission was over. Tarnok was gone. Arcadia was avenged, but she didn't feel peace. She looked out the dark window of her ship towards the stars. "They started this," she whispered, "but we finished it." Her reflection in the glass showed a hard truth. Humanity had won, but they had changed forever. The galaxy was quiet, not peaceful just. Silent. The destruction of Drakkar Prime had sent shockwaves through every major system. Tarnok Empire was no more. Their fleets, cities, leaders erased in less than a week. No survivors. No negotiations. Just extinction. Across the stars, billions watched the final broadcast. This was not revenge. This was justice. Never touch Earth again. Humanity's message was simple, cold, final now. Every species asked the same question. Who's next? In the core systems, the Galactic Trade Guild canceled all Earth-related embargoes. Every trade ban was lifted overnight. Why? Because 2 of their outposts had been hacked. No alarms, no guards. Every vault emptied. The guild called it a ghost attack, but secretly, they knew humans were watching, and no one wanted to disappear like the Tarnok. On the edge of known space, the Krazari clans held an emergency gathering. They were known as proud warriors, never afraid of any enemy. But this time, their voices were low. Elder Kurlik, oldest of the Krazarias, spoke. "We once mocked humans, called them soft, weak, too emotional. He stared into the dark. We were wrong. They showed us emotions can become weapons. The council agreed. From that day, no Krasari warrior would challenge a human again. Not out of fear, out of respect. But not everyone felt respect. In the hidden dark zone, deep in uncharted space, a new danger began to grow. A group of powerful species met in secret. They called themselves the Silent Spiral. They believed the humans had gone too far. They were afraid, not just of humanity's strength, but their anger. One colony was lost. One act of war, said the tall insectoid leader known as Vrex. And they destroyed a civilization, another whispered. What if they turn on us next? The Silent Spiral had one goal. Stop Earth. Before Earth controls everything. Back on Earth. Things were changing too. The streets were quiet. But screens across cities showed updates. Drakkar Prime, confirmed destroyed. Human Command declares victory. Tarnok extinct. No repopulation detected. Some cheered. Some wept in the human capital of New Geneva. Leaders met to decide what would come next. General Ilana Voss sat at the center of the council table. Behind her stood Captain Rainer Locke, the man who ended the Tarnok Emperor. President Aisha Rahman looked tired. We have power now, she said. But what do we do with it? Voss didn't blink. We prepare. This galaxy hasn't learned peace, just fear. We'll need to be ready for whatever comes next. The vote was made. Earth would not return to isolation. Earth would lead. Meanwhile, far from Earth, in a quiet system called Varen Zix, an old smuggler named Teko ran a small station. He had once worked with Tarnok warlords, sold them supplies, helped them hide money. Now, he was afraid. He didn't sleep much anymore. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the face of a human in the fire, just watching. Silent. One night, Teko heard a strange knock on the docking bay door. He looked at the scanner, no ship. No visitor. The door opened anyway. A single package was lying on the floor. No note. No signal. He opened it and screamed. Inside was the Tarnok royal ring. Burned. Melted. With one message. We'll never forget. Teko shut down his station the next day. He never spoke again. In orbit around Jorak Station, the Galactic Council met. Again this time, in complete silence. The seats of the Tarnok were empty. Other empires looked away. The humans didn't attend, but they didn't need to. Everyone already knew. Earth wasn't just back. Earth is now in control. Some council members whispered of forming new alliances. Others begged for peace treaties. But one thing was clear. No one wanted war with humans again. On board the Nemesis, the flagship of Earth's Ghost Fleet, Captain Rainer Locke stood alone in the observation deck. The stars looked the same, but everything had changed. He held a small photo of his sister. It's the one lost. In the Arcadia Station attack? It's done, Sarah, he whispered. They paid for what they did, but deep down, something inside him felt hollow. The Tarnok were gone, but war had changed the humans. Too, they had become something else. Something the galaxy feared, and something they themselves barely understood. Far away in the heart of the Silent Spiral, Vrex looked over stolen footage of human warships. They were prey once, he growled. Now they're predators. He paused. But every predator bleeds. The Spiral began to plan. Not through fleets. Not through open war. But through lies. Sabotage. Manipulation. They would break Earth from the inside because they knew the only way to stop humanity is to turn them into the monster they fear. Earth was finally quiet again. The war was over. The Tarnok Empire was destroyed, and the galaxy had gone silent. But the silence was strange, too quiet. People went back to work. Children returned. 2 schools, cities lit up again. But something was different. There was tension in the air. Like the calm before a storm, General Ilana Voss noticed it first. She stood on the balcony of the Earth Defense Center in New Geneva. Watching the city below, The people were smiling, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes in the dark corners of space. The silent spiral made their move. They couldn't fight Earth head-on. They had seen what happened to the Turnodes, so they used another way: whispers. They sent agents across human space, not ships, not soldiers, but spies, hackers, saboteurs. They infected data systems, spread lies on news channels, created fake messages. From human leaders, their goal was clear: turn humanity against itself. The first strike was quiet. A large cargo ship from Mars exploded mid-flight. 200 civilians died. Everyone thought it was an accident, until the second attack happened. A hospital drone swarm in orbit over Europa suddenly turned hostile and started targeting patients. Earth Command tried to stop the panic. They blamed it on system malfunctions. But Captain Raynerlock didn't believe it. He had seen too much in the Tarnock War. "These aren't glitches," he told Voss. "This is infiltration." Voss agreed. "We may have destroyed an empire, but now we're at war with shadows." Inside the halls of Earth's Cyber Defense Force, a young woman named Rhea Iqbal discovered something strange. She was only 22, one of the youngest in the department. Smart, fast, and deeply curious. While checking through drone logs, she found a string of alien code hidden inside the operating system. It didn't belong to humans, not even close. It was spiral structured, encrypted in a way never seen before. She brought the file to her superior. But the next morning, that superior was missing. Gone. No trace. His office had been cleared. Even the cameras had been wiped. Rhea knew she was in danger. So she copied the code onto a small data drive and left the city. She didn't go home. Didn't contact anyone. Instead, she sent a hidden signal to one person she thought she could trust: Captain Raynerlock. He met her in an abandoned train tunnel beneath Old Toronto. She showed him the code. His eyes went wide. "This is alien? You're saying they're already inside our systems?" Rhea nodded. "Not just inside, controlling things. Twisting reality." Rayner clenched his jaw. "Then the real war hasn't ended. It's just begun." That same night, in the outer colonies of Sector Delta 19, human governor gave a strange speech. He said Earth was corrupt. He claimed the leadership had hidden the truth about the war. He called for separation, independence. Half the colony cheered. The other half was confused. But what no one knew was this: that governor had been replaced. He looked human. He sounded human. But deep inside, in his blood and brain, was something else. A silent spiral agent, wearing a human face in New Geneva. Riots broke out near the central square. Dozens of citizens screamed that Earth was lying. They believed Earth started the war, not Tarnock. Humans attacked first. The galaxy must unite against Earth. Voss is hiding the truth. General Voss watched the footage and slammed her fist on the table. "This isn't truth. It's poison." She called an emergency council. Rayner was already there. "Spiral has agents everywhere," he said. "They're not after planets. They're after our minds." Voss agreed. They launched Project Purity, a secret task force, to root out alien influence on Earth. Rayner would lead it, and Rhea would be his first recruit. Their first mission took them to the moon base TYCHO-3. The base had gone silent for 48 hours. No signal. No warning, as Rayner's team entered. They saw the horror. Every worker was asleep, still breathing, but unresponsive. Machines were still running, lights still blinking, but no one was moving. Rhea ran a scan. She gasped. "They're dreaming." All of them. The same dream. Rayner leaned over. "What dream?" She whispered. "A spiral," turning in the dark. At the same time, the silent spiral gathered in their hidden chamber. Their leader Vrex was pleased. "Humans think war is fire and steel," he said. "But we know the truth." He pointed to a display showing Earth's news feeds, now filled with chaos. Real war is confusion, doubt, fear. The spiral wasn't trying to destroy Earth from the outside. They wanted to crack it open from the inside. And soon, Earth wouldn't need an enemy, because Earth would destroy itself in the shadows of Earth. As trust began to die, Captain Raynor looked out at the world he fought so hard to protect. "They're changing us," he said. "Not through weapons, but through fear." Rhea stood beside him. "Then we fight with truth." Raynor nodded. "But truth is the hardest weapon to use." Captain Raynorlock sat alone in the command center, eyes locked on the large screen. Across Earth, riots had grown worse, not just in one city, but everywhere: Luna Station, Mars Base Prime, even deep-sea colonies on Earth's own ocean floor. People didn't trust the government anymore. They didn't even trust each other. Raynor whispered to himself. "The Spiral doesn't need weapons. It just needs doubt." General Ilana Voss entered the room, face tense. "Raynor, we have a bigger problem." She handed him a file, top-secret. Inside were communications, traced back to Earth's own Galactic Council. One of the council members, Chancellor Demis Veron, was working with the Silent Spiral. Raynor's blood turned cold. "That's impossible. He's been with us since the Tarnok War. He lost his own son in that war," Voss replied quietly. "Or so we thought." At the same time, on the far side of Earth, in the hidden labs under the Andes Mountains, Rhea Iqbal made a terrifying discovery. She had been analyzing the dream patterns from Taika 3's sleeping workers. One detail kept repeating in every brain scan: a frequency, a silent signal, always just under 30 hertz. Human ears couldn't hear it, but the brain could feel it. It was everywhere, running through satellites broadcasting from towers, hidden inside smart devices, even in children's toys. Rhea turned to her assistant. The Spiral is already inside every home." Meanwhile, Chancellor Veron stood before the Galactic Council. He looked calm, collected, even wise. He raised his hands and spoke with confidence. "The humans have become unstable," he declared. "Our war with Tarnok changed them." Other alien council members listened closely. "They're paranoid, unpredictable, a danger to galactic peace. We must contain Earth." Some counselors hesitated. Others nodded. But one thing was clear. The Chancellor's voice carried power, and no one could see that his eyes were no longer human. "Captain." Raynor took a strike team to capture Chancellor Veron. They expected resistance, but what they found was a trap. As Raynor's team entered the Chancellor's private home, the lights went out, walls shifted, and out of nowhere, machines came alive: floating drones, hidden turrets, walls that moved like liquid metal. Half the team was lost in seconds. Raynor and Rhea barely escaped using an emergency teleport device. They reappeared in an old bunker outside Alaska, bruised and breathless. "He knew we were coming," Rhea gasped. Raynor stared ahead, his voice cold. "That's not Demos Veron anymore." Inside the council chambers, Veron smiled as he watched Earth collapse. "You humans think you're strong because you win battles, but the mind, that is where true wars are won." He activated a hidden device, a transmitter that amplified the Spiral signal. Within minutes, panic increased all over Earth. News channels crashed. Military AI systems gave wrong commands. Civilian defense drones attacked their own people, and in orbit, Earth's own fleet began fighting each other. Back in Alaska, Rhea received one last trace signal before Earth's satellites failed. A backup AI from Luna Base sent a warning. "The Spiral signal is growing. If it reaches full power, every human brain could be affected." Raynor asked, "Where's the main transmitter?" Rhea replied slowly, "It's not on Earth." She pointed at the sky. "It's inside Earth's moon." General Voss gathered the last of Earth's trusted command. Only a few warships remained. Under full human control, the rest were either hijacked or malfunctioning. Voss spoke clearly. "We're launching a final mission. We take the moon, we find the transmitter, we destroy it. If we fail, humanity falls." Captain Raynor, wounded but determined, nodded. Rhea, now considered Earth's most important cyber expert, stepped forward. "We'll need to get close, very close. I have to plug into the transmitter physically." "There's no remote hack. It's too alien," Voss replied. "Then we fly into hell together. As Earth burned below, the final ship launched. Codename Truthbringer. Stealth assault cruiser built during the Tarnak War, but never used. Fast. Silent, deadly, Raynor, Rhea, and a team of elite soldiers flew toward the moon. No escorts. No support. No turning back. They landed on the far side, where no signal reached Earth. The ground was black, cracked, and strangely warm, and hidden under the moon's surface. They found it, the spiral core. It was massive, an alien tower twisting. Into the ground, glowing with blue light, pulsing like a heart, dozens of spiral creatures guarded it all, shadow-like figures with no faces. Raynor gave the order. No mercy. The battle was brutal. Laser fire lit the darkness. Explosions shook the ground. Soldiers screamed and vanished into the black fog. Rhea ran past the chaos. Carrying the signal disruptor device, she reached the base of the core and climbed inside. Everything around her screamed, not with sound, but with thoughts. "Why fight us?" the spiral whispered. "You belong to us now. Your truth is broken. Join the calm. Join the spiral." Rhea gritted her teeth. "No, my truth is human." And she plugged in the disruptor. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the core screamed. Not sound, not light. A feeling, a mental shockwave that spread across the moon, then down to Earth, and suddenly across every city, every ship, every person. The spiral signal vanished. The fog lifted. The confusion broke. The machines shut down. Earth was awake again. Back at the council chambers, Chancellor Varen collapsed. His disguise faded. What stood in his place was a spiral constructed's face melting into black mist. Other aliens gasped in horror. The spiral had infiltrated the highest seats of power, but now they had been revealed. Captain Raynor helped Rhea out of the collapsed spiral core. She was weak, eyes glowing faintly from exposure. "Did we win?" she asked. Raynor looked up at Earth, now shining blue and bright in the sky. For now. Deep inside, they both knew the spiral wasn't destroyed, only pushed back. They would return, but next time, Earth would be ready. 6 months had passed since the spiral. Signal was destroyed. Earth was rebuilding. Cities were coming back online. Families reunited. But something was different. Something had changed in every human mind. Rhea Iqbal noticed it. First, when she scanned her own neural waves, there was a new pattern. A frequency she didn't create, not spiral, not human. Something older. Something buried deep inside, Captain. Raynor Locke now led a global task force called Project Dawnfire's first true defense and exploration fleet. They didn't wait. Anymore, they searched the galaxy. They hunted spiral nests and crushed them before they could rise again. But in every destroyed nest, one thing kept showing up. A symbol always etched into the walls. A spiral within a circle. With a dot in the center, Rhea stared at it one day and whispered, "It's not alien." Raynor looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" Rhea replied. "That symbol, it's ancient. It was found in Earth's deserts, in stone carvings, from before we had language. On a hidden archive base in orbit around Jupiter, Earth's top historians, scientists, and linguists were called. They decoded ancient data, lost DNA records and genetic memories. What they found made them all stop breathing. The spiral was not alien. It began on Earth. Millions of years ago, before humans, before animals, before life as we know it. A conscious frequency. A living intelligence that once ruled Earth made of thought, not flesh. Something happened. It went silent, buried under time and evolution. But when humanity spread into the stars, it woke up. General Ilana Vos stood before the new global assembly on Mars Base Prime. She revealed the truth to Earth's leaders. The spiral is not from outside. It was part of us. Hidden, waiting, maybe guiding our fears, our dreams, even our wars. Gasps filled the room. One alien delegate asked, "Then why did it attack now?" Rhea answered from her screen, "'Cause we broke out. We left Earth. We became something it couldn't control anymore." Voss continued, "The spiral wanted to pull us back, to keep us inside a dream of safety, of control. It feared the truth." Maynor spoke the final words. It feared what humanity was becoming. In deep space, Project Dawnfire launched Earth's first interdimensional vessel, the Aegis Ascendant. Not to flee, not to hide, but to explore the deeper realms places spiral signals still whispered from. Rhea joined the crew. Her mind was changing, stronger, faster, sometimes hearing things before they happened. She didn't fear it, not anymore. She told Raynor, "If the spiral came from within us, maybe it's just the shadow of what we're meant to be." Raynor looked at her then. "What's the light?" Rhea smiled slightly. "That's what we're going to find out." On the dark side of a broken planet once infected by the spiral, a final signal was found. It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. One line of code, sent across unknown dimensions. You are awake. Others are not. If you rise too fast, the old dreamers will notice. No one understood what it meant. Not fully. But the message was clear. Humanity had just stepped onto a bigger battlefield. The spiral was only the beginning. Back on Earth, children born after the spiral war had strange dreams. They painted stars they'd never seen, spoke words from no language ever taught. Some could move small objects without touching them. Some could sense thoughts, not magic, not mutation. Awakening. Raynor stood at a school where children played under armored satellites. He turned to Voss. "We won the war." Voss nodded. "But now we're becoming something else. Something the galaxy doesn't understand. Something it might fear more than the spiral." The story of Earth spread fast. Planets once silent now looked to humans for help. Alien races, long terrified of the spiral, begged for alliance, and one by one, new banners were raised across the stars. A black spiral, broken in half with a silver flame rising through it. The symbol